May we request His Excellency Alan Peter Cayetano, Secretary of Foreign Affairs, to deliver his message.
Love God, love thy neighbor as you love yourself. Early this AM, we felt a powerful jolt, yet nothing compared to what has been suffered by our brothers and sisters here in Indonesia. Indonesia is and has always been a good neighbor. In fact, they are more than neighbors. They are family to us. One with us, with our ASEAN brothers and sisters. We can only imagine the tragedy that visited our Indonesian brothers and sisters in Central Sulawesi. But let me assure you that your pain is felt not only in the Philippines, but in the whole ASEAN. The Philippines and Indonesia are no strangers to natural disasters, but we are far from immune to the destructive forces of nature. And so we are here today not only to extend our sympathies to the communities affected by the earthquake and tsunami of September 28, but also to express our love by helping alleviate the suffering in our own very humble way. As Indonesia, ASEAN, and many of our friends and partners have assisted us when we needed it most, we want to be here for our Indonesian brothers and sisters. Your Excellencies, Ambassador Hari Sarungdajang, ASEAN Secretary General, and one of my good friends, Dato Lim Jokhoy, Philippine Permanent Representative to ASEAN in Jakarta, Ambassador Elizabeth Buenceso, and Philippine Ambassador Lee Hyong Tanwi, and of course, to represent our President, Special Assistant to the President, Secretary Bongo. Good morning. In the spirit of one ASEAN, one response, the Philippines has offered to provide humanitarian assistance and support Indonesia, our good neighbor and close partner. To help Indonesia in our recovery efforts, the Philippines is working with AHA Center to provide humanitarian relief in the amount of 300,000 US dollars. Thank you, Center Director and Operations Arnel Capili, and thank you to everyone in AHA. In-kind assistance is also on the way in the form of a C-130 aircraft for transport operation. Actually, it's arrived and will be going back and forth as much as needed. And an additional 200,000 US dollars worth of relief goods, which includes tents, family kits, generators, and water purification units. Just as ASEAN and AHA Center readily provided assistance to the Philippines for those affected by Typhoon Mangkhut, Super Typhoon Haiyan, and the Marawi crisis, the Philippines would like to return ASEAN's kindness by standing together with Indonesia during this time of adversity. On behalf of President Rodrigo Roa Duterte, we thank the Indonesian government, the ASEAN Secretary General, and the AHA Center for much that you have done for ASEAN. So we humbly ask that you accept our assistance here today.
Thank you, Your Excellency, Secretary Alan Peter Cayetano. May we now request Your Excellency Ambassador Hari Sarundayang of Indonesia to deliver his message.
Good morning. Selamat pagi. Magandang umaga sa inyong lahat. His Excellency Secretary General of ASEAN Dato Paduka Lim Jokhoy, His Excellency Secretary of the Department of Foreign Affairs of the Philippines, Mr. Alan Peter Cayetano, Honorable Special Assistant to the President, Mr. Christopher Lawrence Bongo, His Excellency Ambassador the Republic of the Philippines to Indonesia, Mr. Lee Hyong Tanwi, my partners, Her Excellency Ambassador the Republic of the Philippines to ASEAN, Mrs. Elizabeth Buensuceso, Honorable Representative of the ASEAN Humanitarian Assistance, media, friends, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the President Joko Widodo and the people of the Indonesia, I would like to extend our deep gratitude and appreciation to His Excellency President Rodrigo Roa Duterte and the people of the Philippines for all the sympathies and the humanitarian support and assistance that has been provided to help the victims of the recent earthquake and tsunami in Central Sulawesi. As the saying goes, a friend in need is a friend indeed. Our two peoples have always been helping each other in times of need. This assistance surely will help to overcome the difficulties caused by the devastating natural disasters. There is a quote by Maya Angelou, an American actress and poet, that says, when we give cheerfully and accept gratefully, everyone is blessed. God bless the Philippines. God bless the Indonesia. Maraming salamat po. Terima kasih banyak. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ambassador. At this point, may we request Their Excellencies Alan Peter S. Cayetano, Philippine Secretary of Foreign Affairs, Special Assistant to the President Christopher Bongo, and ASEAN Secretary General Dato Lim Jock Hoy to join Indonesian Ambassador to the Philippines Hari Sarundayang for the handover of the ASEAN Family Kit as a simple token symbolizing Philippine solidarity with Indonesia. May we request Their Excellencies Philippine Permanent Representative to ASEAN in Jakarta, Indonesia, Elizabeth Buensuceso, Philippine Ambassador to Indonesia, Lee Yong Tanwi, and ASEAN Coordinating Center for Humanitarian Assistance on Disaster Management, Director of Operations Arnel Capili, to join Their Excellencies for another photo opportunity. May we request PCOO Secretary Martin Andanar to join for a photo opportunity. Thank you, Your Excellencies. At this point, I will turn you over to our Q&A moderator, Ms. Rocky Ignacio.
Good morning. Our friends from the media, do you have any question? Can we get your questions for our distinguished guest? Edith Regalado.
Good morning, sir. Salamat pagi. I just would like to ask, maybe Secretary Cayetano, please. Aside from this, what we've handed or turned over to Indonesia right now, else do we expect to give to Indonesia for the following days? Do we send more C-130 car, or do we send more humanitarian teams, the search and rescue? What would we expect out of this? From here, where do we go, and what we
Yes.
do?
Well, we will be in close coordination with our counterparts, with our dear ambassador, and it really depends on the needs on the ground. But the President has instructed the military through Secretary Del Lorenzana to be ready. And in fact, we have communicated to Indonesia, if not for dealing with our own relief efforts and rehab efforts in the north because of the storm Ompong, the C-130 would have landed in Indonesia much earlier. But now, since our roads are open and we're doing our own rehab and relief in the areas affected, and the Marawi rehab is going well. The donations are coming in. The planning is there. So we will continue to coordinate with our counterparts kung ano pang kailangan nila. So it's more of their need, because they're highly organized on the ground. So they haven't asked for help, on the ground, because they have their people, they speak the language, So having said that, we will work through AHA or AHA and directly with His Excellency the Ambassador to the Philippines.
Per so far, we've just sent one C-130. That's the first trip.
Yes.
Yeah, that went straight to Palu.
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
which has the tents, generators, filtration equipment, for water. All of this based on the needs of the area.
But I understand it could also be followed by another trip next week.
Yes. Well, I'm not that sure of the $200,000 in kind, how much equivalent was on the first plane. But that's already committed, so that will be delivered. Now, if there are additional needs, then we'll be in coordination with the ASEAN.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Makasih.
Can we have our friends from Indonesia? Yeah, please. Please state your name, please.
Good morning. My name is Stella. I'm from Metro TV. Selamat pagi, Pak. As you said, Mr. Alan Carter, that Filipina also have the same kind of problem, that we are not far away from a disaster. So do you think ASEAN should have like a after disaster funding for ourselves, as we know our countries is in between disaster time by time? Thank you.
My answer is yes, and actually we do have funding, but I think the Honorable ASEAN SecGen would agree with me that maybe all regional and international organizations really need to input disaster resiliency and also climate change into the agenda, because the weather is getting more extreme, and while we're getting more resilient, more people are also vulnerable. And for certain countries in ASEAN, like Philippines, Malaysia, Indonesia, that we are archipelagos and have a long coastline, there are areas that never experienced storm surge or tsunamis, but now it's there. And technology is getting better, like the early warning systems, but it's not perfect. And the technology was made based on the conditions today. But every day, the weather seems to get more extreme. So technology is also catching up. And I already can't imagine, how to monitor for disasters and to prevent in the Philippines, which in my view is so big with 7,100 islands. So we can't imagine, how difficult it is also for Indonesians with 11,000. 11,000 islands and 17,000 islands. It's not easy, for this. So any assistance from regional and bilateral partners, multilateral, etc., of course, in accordance with your own policies. because we should help when we are asked or we are welcome, but we should always respect, the wishes of the people of when, how, what to do, and that's why we're doing it through ASEAN.
Okay, can we have from Manila? Questions from Manila? No more? From Indonesia? Okay, thank you to our distinguished guest.
This ends the symbolic handover ceremony. Thank you, Excellencies. Thank you, members of media.